Hi everyone, welcome to Tron 3 Entertainment MEGO Edition. In this case, customized MEGO Edition. You're probably looking at your screen right now and saying, what in the world am I looking at? Well, if you remember my last video about Hades, the demon warrior, where I accidentally snapped the body, like Superman would, and I went to order a new body. Instead, I ordered a new red suit. And returning it was just going to cost as much to return it as it was to keep it. So I decided to look for a new figure to make. And I was going to do Spider-Man. But then I remembered that head was on the website. And this actually is a throwback to something in the past. So I got two backstories here. The backstory of how he came into being. And his backstory as to why Superman Imposter is a new character, hopefully in the DCU. So here goes. When I was a kid, about 13 years old, I was making hand puppets out of lunch bags, little brown paper bags. I made a Batman and I made a Superman. And somewhere in my head, I mixed up the colors. So my paper bag Superman with the big fat face, I had the colors backwards. And I had that for a number of days or maybe even weeks. I just took them out once in a while when I realized I got the color palette wrong. So I think I ended up tearing them up, or they just got beat up. And that's how I ended up with the Superman Imposter today, because I was actually looking to do a Spider-Man. It was turning out to be a lot of trouble, and he ties into the past. So why do we need a Superman who's an imposter? Well, I'll tell you why. Because this Superman isn't very much a Boy Scout. In his world, he actually killed Darkseid. And when the other Supermen, when he came into the multiverse, when the other Supermen asked him, "What do you suppose we do about Darkseid?" he responded and said, "Well, why haven't you killed him yet?" And they were taken aback by that, because in this universe of his, he reluctantly kills his enemies when he feels that that their innocence on Earth, the human beings, can't handle the invading person. So he sometimes takes to killing them. Now, you can read the backstory in the description. The full backstory will be there. And they ask him the question. They say, "Do you really think that killing these people would have saved Lois and Jimmy, who are dead in some multiverses?" And he says, "Of course I do, because I killed the Joker before he killed them. And Batman hasn't spoken to me since." So he's a very deep and complex character. He believes he's the original Superman, that the other ones are fraudulent for not following his lead. And he thinks it's foolish that there's a no-kill rule. But he laments that he had to kill people. He's not totalitarian. He's not trying to take over the world. He's not trying to force peace, because he had come to realize that when you try to force peace, you just end up with war. And that's the backstory in brief version of Superman Imposter. So they call him an imposter because they don't believe he's a true superhero. But he is. He just makes the tough decisions, like certain presidents we have. And you notice that his back, the S on his back, isn't all yellow like Superman's. It looks like Superman's chest. So it shows that he's relatable. He's backwards compatible in a way. I kept the belt yellow. And he's got dark blue boots. I know you may think they're black, but not. They're dark blue cape. And maybe you're wondering, how did I get his tights on here, the trunks? Well, the trunks aren't sewed together. They're just pulled over the red ones. And that's a separate article of clothing. It's not sewed into the material like it is here. So he's got a nice long cape, much bigger than the other Superman. And they do see that he's a force for good, and they accept him. It's just that in their world, he has to play by their rules. And he's got a little problem with that, because he doesn't believe they're doing it the right way. And it plays heavily on his psyche. So that's the short rundown of Superman Imposter, who's actually a real, honest-to-goodness superhero who does what he has to save the innocent. So I'm not going to be making too many more Megos because they're not getting a lot of attention. But this is what may be my last Mego that's coming up. So you'll see this sometime next week or possibly next weekend. I'm ordering the parts. And yes, it's going to look similar to the 1970s Mego. I'm not going to give it away, but there's going to be a couple of upgrades on it. And it's going to be a really fun build. It's going to be the Iron Man that we wish we all had. So I'm ecstatic that I have Superman Imposter, because I've always wondered how come of all the iterations they make of Superman, they didn't simply just invert his colors. Don't confuse him for a reverse Superman. He's not like a reverse Flash. He's not evil. He's good. And that's why it's good for you to like, comment, and subscribe, and keep watching. See you next time.